very dominant in Advanced Warfare. I mean, the tail end of AW, this was a team who was just on top form. So as you said, last year, not necessarily always playing bad, but it was an inconsistent year for them. It was definitely by no means the same year they had in Advanced Warfare. And then to stick that through, and then you come into this year, you need good performances. You really, really do. But now, of course, looking at the rig draft between Team EnVy and FaZe, EnVy's going to be on the left-hand side, the blue squad, and FaZe, of course, the red squad on the right-hand side. Haven't seen too many crazy things today. I think the craziest thing you can say so far is maybe the FTL.
Yeah, and I mean, there's sort of that, do we use Overdrive or that Centurion? That's sort of been the big back and forth one in respawns, but you know, obviously Clayster going with that Centurion. I mean, I'm sure he loves to put it in a bunch of different positions.
What's your pick, Joe? Overdrive or Centurion?
I think in Hardpoint I would like that Centurion. I just think you can put it in a hill if you're able to rotate early, but Overdrive, I mean, this is what we talked about with those new spawns.
I'd take Overdrive all day.
Well, that's you.
Fair enough, fair enough. That's going to do it for our analysis desk before this first matchup on Primetime. For now, we can send it over to our casters for the matchup.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm ready. It is time for prime time, and it is EnVy going up against FaZe. This pool has become interesting, Jack. You know, I said when we had our roundtable, I thought that EnVy would lose to Gosu Crew. You guys said I was crazy. It wasn't EnVy that was losing. It's FaZe that ends up dropping.
Which doesn't really make much sense, but we got a nice crowd here at MLG Vegas, the Open presented by PS4. This Group A matchup, EnVy looking to sit atop the group at the end of day one, and they can do it with a victory against FaZe here. Could we see FaZe potentially be 0-2 in pool play? We'll have to see how it all plays out. Right now, FaZe come out to an early lead.
Yeah, Tash is starting out very nicely here. 3-0 streak, should make it 4. He's able to win one more gunfight. See if he can keep this going. Already 300 off the Trinity, and FaZe opening up a nice lead. But, you know, it's interesting. We were really high on FaZe, obviously, right? They looked really good at PSX and scrims. They looked really dominant. But with the changes here that we've had to Hardpoint and some changes in Uplink, it's been a little bit of a reset, I think, for some teams, Jack. And maybe that's why they haven't been as dominant as we maybe expected they would be.
I got to speak to Zuma in that interview prior to this series starting up, and he basically said every team is feeling a little bit under practice to what they would like because of all the game changes that have come in. Obviously, some were expected, some might have caught some of these players off guard, and they've had to adapt. So far, we've seen some players who maybe they're not doing well on a map, so they swap to another weapon, then they swap to a third weapon to try to see what they can make work. K-Bar, though, the main gun of choice. You're seeing that right now from Enable, as he's currently 5-1 on a 4 streak. He's the guy that really has struggled so far today in search and destroy for FaZe, as they went 0-2 in their first series. In my opinion, this is a must-win game 1.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit like what we've seen from Luminosity, too. I think they're 0-3 in Search and Destroy so far this weekend, but they've only dropped 1 respawn. Yeah. So they're looking really good from that standpoint, and that's a reason that I had FaZe. I was so high on FaZe and Luminosity, though, has been their strong respawn. The fact is, can they step it up at S&D when it matters? And even though you had a really early lead for FaZe, EnVy has battled right back with a nice Turbine Hardpoint.
Actually really surprised to see Apathy at the bottom of your minimap challenge the player pushing through that back deck area. He pushes so far out that there's actually a spawn that comes in for Enable behind his teammates, and now FaZe have a great pinch towards this new hill. I don't know if Apathy's picked up on it yet, as he's still expecting pressure towards this deck side. But look at the minimap. There's FaZe players already at the new hardpoint. Now Apathy's out in the middle of nowhere.
And this is what I talked about. I was watching Apathy stream the other day.
Thankfully, they got the spawn.
I was watching Apathy stream the other day, and you know, he was married recently, had his honeymoon, hasn't been able to grind as much. And there were a couple times where I saw him get a little bit lost in hardpoint, and I thought to myself, maybe it's just because he hasn't played as much. Is that maybe one of those times that it kind of happens? Just a little bit of an off cue because he just hasn't put in the time some of these other guys have.
If you watched right there, he actually, if the FaZe player who was close to deck and towards middle map was a little bit further pushed up, they would have blocked those back spawns. It did work out for EnVy momentarily that Apathy actually held those spawns for his team, but unfortunately they still get wiped out. FaZe up by over a minute now, as they are just picking EnVy apart in every aspect of this game. 5.0 KD for Attach, double positive from Enable, double positive from Clayster. FaZe Clan looking quite good.
Yeah, this is looking very, very strong and Attach. I mean, he's just got 2 really nice sprees here, really to kick things off. As the team in total is now up to 8, a 3 streak for Clay as well before he ends up falling. I want to stick with him because he's on a 4 streak, so we'll see the long rotation out. We'll take a look at the minimap here. He's gonna be the last person to rotate over. You see set up and drill is going to be EnVy. Let's see how Attach likes to attack this. Usually we go to the rotation in front.
All the way around.
So now let's see from his POV. Let's see what the flank looks like.
They're hitting the pinch from every single angle. 2 players about to push from drill. You've got 1 player hitting middle map. Here comes the pressure from Attach now from the backside. Not expecting this at all, because why would you? The guy just looped around the entire map to get to this position. 2 kills for Attach, earning himself some streaks. Almost gets the 3rd. but a 12-3 start. Clayster can't win the one-on-one, so it's a failed break from FaZe Clan.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, they didn't end up winning it, but I saw it a couple times during the Cloud9 match where that last person to rotate out, it was Lacefield a couple of times where he would rotate out, he'd be the last man in, but it's almost like they weren't expecting the timing of it for him to get there if you hit the long flank, where he's able to pick up 2 or 3 kills and almost come up clutch. But even with that, FaZe not able to get the break yet. This is, back to, no, sorry, it was the Turbine where they did really well. Now Drill, this is the second really big hold from EnVy. Most of their times come from 2 hardpoints, Jack.
Yeah, and EnVy are still in this game. Don't count them out yet. This is just the first rotation. Looking at your scoreboard, though, the biggest thing to point out, I mean, just look at where the EnVy players, all in double digits in deaths, all in single digits in kills. They just need to begin to get the kills on rotation. 1 60-second hold, and this game is tied right now, but they just haven't stopped attach. It's been, what, a 5 streak, a 7 streak, another 5 streak so far in this game that's gotten him to the point he's at. The man is just lights out, finally gets cut down, but already the damage is done. FaZe's lead up to just shy of 80 seconds.
And this is what's so interesting. This is why this is kind of why I thought that EnVy may struggle against Ghost Crew, and I thought FaZe was going to cruise in this group. Right now they're having their way with EnVy, but like you said, you've seen a couple of matches that have turned on their head very, very quickly. You just need 1 or 2 strong hard points in a row, and you can bounce back into things. And you know, I'm sorry for those of you at home that want to see EnVy. I know I haven't spent a lot of time on with the players, but just look across the KDs right now. I mean, everybody -4 to -7. No one's really getting a whole lot done. I know slaying is not the whole picture, but when your entire squad's negative like that, Jack, it's not easy.
Yeah, and FaZe in their first series, they lose the second hardpoint, which I think Zuma was really shocked by. They were expecting to sweep both hardpoints. You take that out of the respawn, boom, they're set. And that's what made FaZe so successful back in Advanced Warfare. This is the start you needed from FaZe Clan. A 1.13 respawn KD so far for Clayster. He's building on that more now, currently at a 1.6. I mean, EnVy can get these 35 seconds and still be down by about a minute.
Well, think about PSX. They dropped, what, 1 hardpoint the entire time? It was the Orbit in the final?
Yeah.
I think they won every single one. I mean, they were touted to be the best hardpoint team, the most practiced team going in, and you saw that at PSX. The question is, with the changes here, can they adapt quickly? And this series certainly getting it done.
Here comes one final pressure from FaZe, and it's going to be a 2v1 inside this turbine area. Attach tries to challenge Slasher, who's got himself some nice cover. Slasher does win it, and FaZe will spawn all the way out towards this back deck area. You see on your minimap, FaZe in a terrible position for this new hangar hardpoint. This is where EnVy can begin to mount the comeback. Apathy has one job, and it's to stay alive.
Yeah, now he'll in a little bit better position here to deal with them trying to flood through, but he does end up dropping as he got pushed by 2 players. Just too much to deal with. But you still have EnVy inside the hardpoint, but now the pinch is going to come in. JCap going to have to go huge. Able to find one before dropping. Is there anyone there to trade it out? Below is Slasher. He's going to drop, and EnVy gets a clean break very, very quickly.
And EnVy now need to begin to slow down. You can see the player who I believe, just sat outside the front door. Instead of challenging, decides to wrap towards this middle tunnel area. They'll hit out the back rock. There is now a pitch coming in from Clayster. Heads up play from him, but EnVy smell it on out, and now they'll push on in. This should be a clean break for EnVy as they've got a 4v2 number advantage in the hardpoint. Yeah,
it's kind of a risky play by Clay, but if it works, he ends up behind 2 players, right? He might get an easy 2-piece, and that basically shuts down what would have been a final push from EnVy, but the fact they sniff it out gives them a chance here. They're still staying alive, trailing by 70 points. What does EnVy need to do differently for you here, Jack, to get back in this?
It stays as one thing and one thing only. They just need one solid hardpoint. Force FaZe's spawns out, win the kills on rotation. For example, right now, they get one from Slasher, Enable's still there. Now JCap wins it, now they need to hold. Now they need to stop the bleeding, win these next few engagements, force FaZe to have to go for some crazy pinch play. EnVy can tie this game up right now with a perfect hold, and this is a setup that they've been waiting for. This has all the signs of it being a strong hold for EnVy on this hardpoint.
And this is a hardpoint you can do that, especially when you keep spawning them back at Turbine over and over and over again. But flying in, Zuma and Clayster, you're able to get a break. Apathy going to have to try and trade some kills here. He does pick up one in the back, shuts down observation deck, rewinds out, wins the second. 6 stuff there from Apathy, and they're climbing back. And this one, Jack, we got ourselves a 30-point game, buddy.
Don't count out the world champions in EnVy. They're beginning to claw back. Apathy somehow still alive. He's still on a 3 streak. Challenge comes in, not going to work today. Is there more for him? Apathy feasting right now on a 4 streak, nearly makes it 5. But either way, the damage is done. I said they just needed one solid hold. One time where they get the kills on rotation. It finally happens. EnVy hold, and we've got ourselves a 10-second game.
Well, let's get to the new hardpoint. Back the bridge. Who's going to be set up first here? It looks like it's going to be Zuma inside. He's got Unable to work with, but 2 players there. Inside Lab starting to poke out. He's playing the close corner, trying to trade it out, but maybe a little bit too aggressive. Should have hit. That's 4 down. That's going to be a hard point control and break here from EnVy.
Awkward spot that Apathy's playing it for a second. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and change this one up. Behind 2 players.
How is he alive? How is he alive?
One finally attached, takes matters into his own hands and shuts him down, but still such even trading now. What was such a slaying advantage for FaZe is slowly dialing back. It was about 20 kills earlier on in the game. Now it's down to, well, maybe about 10 in this, as this is the closest it's been, and EnVy have a chance to now take the lead on this hard one.
Slasher finds a couple, finds a third, fully streaked this Slasher with camo to go, and maybe we got ourselves a lead change coming in. EnVy gonna attack on 10 final seconds here as FaZe is collapsing.
And look at this, Slasher showing why he's always been an X factor on this team. He was 14 and 22 on an 8 streak, finally gets cut down. They have camo to retake with, but folks, a 90-second lead for FaZe is now gone. They do get the break they need.
And look at the spawns too. They're going to get a ton of time here.
But here's the thing. They have Slasher's camo to use. They also have his streak. So streak should start it. This will let EnVy push up the map. They just need to force the spawns out once. Slasher can't die here though. They need his active camo to break this hard point. He's going to go ahead and push up. There's
4 break.
Dead.
4 break.
Beautifully done by the boys of EnVyous. Now they'll use those streaks to punish. This one should be done unless there's a major blunder by EnVy.
Slasher should be able to win it here. Scorcher's coming across the top, able to take out Attach. He has a Trinity Rock to work with as well. Backing up players. Can he connect on anything? Just getting a little bit of scouting information for his squad. They still need 5 more points, but look at the trek across the map. What a comeback from EnVy.
End the game on a combined 9 streak. And there they are. FaZe Clan drop another hard point. They're now 1 and 2 in the game mode. It's their statistically worst right there, up with S&D. Slasher went 13 and 1 in his final life. In his final 2 lives, sorry, to wind up carrying his team to victory in the end. EnVy get it done. It was not easy, but FaZe have to be kicking themselves now.
1 player positive on the side of EnVy. 1. And that's what you said. They gathered